Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for coming today to this webinar on the Master of Sciences in Health Metric Sciences degree program. My name is Laura Dwyer-Lindgren. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Health Metric Sciences, and I'm also the program director for this program. So I'm going to be presenting the first half of this presentation, and then I'll turn things over to my colleague, Sarah Dillard, to finish it up. There will be a Q&A period after the slides. So if you have any questions as we go, just drop them in the chat, and then we'll circle back at the end. So we're talking about a degree in health metric sciences, and this is, in the grand scheme of things, a newish field. So some folks may not have heard of health metric sciences prior to hearing about this degree program or our department. So to make sure we're all on the same page, I want to start by trying to give you a better idea of what we mean when we say health metric sciences. So the text on this slide shows the formal definition of health metric sciences, which I've pulled from an article linked to at the bottom if you're curious to read more. So per this formal definition, health metric sciences is an integrated scientific field that is interdisciplinary, bringing together notions, methods, and techniques from statistics, demography, epidemiology, economics, and other social sciences, aimed at providing rigorous measurement using tested and high-performing instruments to produce indicators that provide the empirical basis to understand the levels, relationships, and trends amongst health outcomes, drivers, and systems. It is a field that relies upon specialized knowledge and is deeply driven by data analysis. So I think this formal definition is useful, which is why I put it here, but it's also a lot to wrap your mind around in addition to being a very long sentence. So I also like to describe health metric sciences by example. So some of you may have heard of the Global Burden of Disease Study. For those who have not, the Global Burden of Disease Study, or the GBD, is a systematic effort to describe the burden of death and disability from more than 350 diseases and injuries in 195 countries by age and sex from 1990 to the present. And for each one of these 350 plus diseases and injuries, this means estimating how common that disease or injury is, and also quantifying the burden that it causes. For example, in terms of years of life lost or years lived with disability. And the idea underlying this project is that in order to more effectively design policies and programs aimed at reducing the burden of disease, you need a comprehensive and comparable picture of what is causing that burden in the first place. And I think it's reasonable to say that the GBD is the classic example of health metric sciences. So if you think back to the formal definition from the previous slide, this really speaks to the rigorous measurement of levels, relationships, and trends in health outcomes component from that definition. There are, of course, many other examples. So I've included one on this slide for my own work that focuses specifically on subnational spatial variation, in particular population health outcomes. So this is moving the focus from how does population health vary between countries on a global scale to how does population health vary on a much more local scale, in this case at the county level in the US. And if you remember from the formal definition, health metric sciences is not only about health outcomes, but also about health systems and other drivers of health outcomes. So for example, the plot that I'm showing here is from an analysis of development assistance for health and shows the flow of dollars from source through various channels to various health focus areas. So hopefully those examples, which I should say are not comprehensive, but just a few examples, give you a better idea of what health metric sciences is. So now that we have a better idea of what health metric sciences is, I want to talk a little bit about our department, which is the Department of Health Metric Sciences, and then I'll get into the MS program specifically. So we are the first, and to our knowledge only, Department of Health Metric Sciences in the world. We're relatively new. The department was formed in 2018, and we have two degree programs, the MS degree program, which is what you're all here to learn about, and then the PhD in global health metrics. And I would describe our department as kind of medium sized. We have 31 core faculty, 27 affiliate faculty, 7 adjunct faculty. There's also currently 9 master's students in total, and that includes both our part-time and our full-time students, and 17 doctoral students. And then we have 7 postdocs and 4 staff. The vision of the Department of Health Metric Sciences is all people living long lives in full health. I'll let you read the mission on your own, which is shown here on this slide. But the main thing that I want to highlight is that there's essentially two threads to this mission. So part is about research and methods, and part is about training the next generation of scientists. And our MS program is related to both components, but obviously is one of the primary ways that we seek to train the next generation. This slide shows our department's diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. Again, I will let you read the exact text, but to summarize, we recognize that cultivating an inclusive, diverse, and equitable environment is both really important morally and ethically, but also critically important for enabling the kind of creativity and innovation required to achieve our mission and further our vision. So some of you may be familiar with the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, or IHME, and wondering what the difference is between the Department of Health Metric Sciences and IHME, since they sound very similar. There's a reason that they sound similar. They are related, but they are not the same entity. So IHME is an independent research center at the University of Washington, while HMS is an academic department also at the University of Washington. There is some overlap in terms of personnel. So faculty and postdocs have their academic home in HMS and do their research through IHME. So I, for example, am affiliated with both. But students in HMS are not necessarily affiliated with IHME. All right, so let's talk about the MS program specifically. So the MS program is designed to be completed in 1 year when undertaken full-time, and over the course of 2 to 3 years, depending on your pacing, when undertaken part-time. I'll talk more specifically about the curriculum in just a moment, but I want to highlight first that the curriculum is highly interdisciplinary, which reflects the interdisciplinary nature of health metric sciences as a field. And one particularly neat aspect, I think, of this program is that students undertake a capstone project as their culminating experience. This is essentially an opportunity for students to identify a health metric sciences research topic that they care about, and then to design and implement an analysis related to this topic. And this is to give students a way to apply their learning from across all of their other courses and also gain experience with independent research in the life cycle of a research project. It's a very cool thing, I think. In terms of outcomes, we can talk about skills that students will have after completing this program, and we can talk about the kinds of things that students go on to do afterwards. So in terms of skills, students graduating from this program will be able to apply health metrics concepts and methods. They'll have the kind of background on major issues and trends in global health required to interpret and communicate findings from health metrics research. They'll have comfort using an array of quantitative and analytic methods. They'll be able to apply data science tools and techniques to a variety of data sources, and they'll have the capacity to conduct and participate in rigorous research. We are a relatively new program. So our department was launched in 2018. This program was launched in 2020. And so we have kind of limited pool of graduates, and most of our graduates are pretty recent. So it's a little bit tricky to say what students have gone on to do yet, just because we don't have a ton of data. But what we expect and what we've seen so far is that our graduates will go on to have careers in a number of different settings. So, other students, continuing on in academia, governmental agencies, NGOs, private industries, et cetera. And we also expect that some, but definitely not all, of our students will continue their educations, for example, by pursuing a PhD. So let's talk a little bit about the curriculum. The core curriculum includes classes in health metric sciences, you might be surprised to hear, statistics, data science, and in demography, epidemiology, or economics. Additionally, students take a number of electives, and they're required to take at least one elective course that focuses on quantitative methods, and another that focuses on a particular health topic, for example, a particular disease or health intervention. There's also a course called HMS Seminar, which is essentially a journal club. So there's a topic for each quarter, and students read and analyze and discuss a series of articles related to this topic. And then finally, there's the capstone experience that I alluded to earlier, which again is where students design and implement their own health metric sciences research topic. I mentioned before that full-time students can complete this degree program in 1 year, and that means 1 calendar year starting in fall quarter and then going through summer quarter. The program also works well part-time. It can be paced in a number of different ways to spread it out over 2 to 3 years. So this slide shows a sample course schedule for a full-time student. We do have more full-time students than part-time students. And the exact schedule would depend on course selections and especially kind of what course somebody selects in that demography, epidemiology, or economics spin, and then also what they select with respect to electives. But this should give you a pretty good idea of what a typical full-time course load would look like. And so you can see, under this particular one, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 credits a quarter during the main part of the school year and then less during the summer. All right, so that pretty much sums up what I want to tell you about curriculum. I'm going to pass things over to Sarah to talk about the admissions process.
All right, so now that you know a little bit about the program, I'm going to share how you can join us, which of course is through our admissions process. So typically prospective applicants are eager to learn more about submitting a competitive application. And the following are some of the key characteristics of a successful MS applicant. So successful applicants will have demonstrated both quantitative and analytical aptitude, Quantitative skills include mathematics and statistics, whereas analytical skills include logical reasoning, critical thinking, problem solving, and things like that. Applicants should speak to these skills explicitly in their application materials. So most often, aptitude will be demonstrated through coursework on a transcript, but it can also show up through volunteer or professional experience. Applicants should describe these qualifications in detail. So assume that our admissions team may not be familiar with your experiences. A diversity of undergraduate majors may be successful in the MS program, and current students pursued undergrad majors in a range of disciplines. So there's no one profile of an MS student. Applicants should also be interested in the following and should speak to these specific interests in as much detail as possible in their application materials. So things like an interest in health data and metrics and data science, public health, generating knowledge that can be used to promote health, and joining a collaborative and interdisciplinary educational environment, which is HNS. The application itself is available through the graduate school's centralized system. So you will notice when you try to go there, try to find the application, that the graduate school is currently in the process of switching systems. So as such, you will see 2 options for submitting your application, one of which is for before autumn 2024, and one is for autumn 2024 and later. So please note that we admit for autumn only, and so you should select that system for autumn 2024 and beyond, the one with the big arrow here, and the system is called Slate. So once you do so, once you click that link, you'll need to select the program, and we'll find us listed under Health Metric Sciences in the drop-down menu. This year's deadline for all materials is December 1st, 2023, and we expect to communicate decisions prior to March 1st. The application consists of an application form, an unofficial transcript from all institutions, a resume or CV, 2 recommendations, an application fee, and 4 short written responses. Please note that the graduate school considers fee waivers for prospective students who are not on J1 or F1 visas, but our department has limited funds available to provide waivers for prospective students who do not qualify for those graduate school waivers. Please visit our website to learn more as soon as possible, as these applications or these fee waivers may take 1 to 2 weeks for us to process. Responding directly to the prompts for the 4 short written responses is an essential part of submitting a strong application. So the prompts are, first, why are you interested in the field of health metric sciences and in this MS program? And that one's a maximum of 250 words, so again, quite short. Our second question is, what relevant experiences have prepared you for this program? Please describe both your quantitative and your analytical background in your response, also a maximum of 250 words. Third, we have what professional goals will an MS in health metric sciences enable you to achieve? Also a maximum of 250 words. And lastly, our 4th prompt is, the University of Washington and the Department of Health Metric Sciences actively seek and welcome students with a diversity of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Please describe how your personal history has influenced your intellectual development, interests, career plans, and goals. And this one is a maximum of 500 words. And all components on this page here should be submitted prior to the application deadline, which is, again, December 1st. So another key question that many applicants have concerns is cost, of course. So the approximate cost of the MS varies depending on the amount of time a student uses to complete the program. So by completing it full time within a year, Washington State residents can expect to pay around $24,000 for their degree, while non-residents can expect to pay around $42,000 for the degree. These costs go up incrementally with each additional quarter. More detailed information can be found by visiting UW's tuition dashboard, which allows visitors to see how costs change per credit and per quarter. And I also wanted to flag here that when I'm talking about Washington State resident and non-resident, in this context, it doesn't simply refer to whether a student lives in the state. So since this is an in-person program, all of our students live in Washington once they join the program. But for tuition purposes, resident and non-resident are defined by specific criteria that are outlined by the university. So I recommend that applicants review this information in advance to understand which fee they would be responsible for or which tuition fee. There are very limited assistantships and fellowships available through UW's graduate school that are awarded on a competitive basis across all graduate programs. We advise applicants to begin independently researching funding opportunities both at UW and externally. The Graduate Student Funding Service, which you'll see this bottom bullet here, is available for admitted students, but it also has some information that's available publicly for anybody. So this includes a really terrific blog where they post opportunities on campus that I recommend following, and opportunities are continuously posted there. Okay, so by joining us in the Department of Health Aesthetic Sciences, you'll also become part of the thriving community of the University of Washington more broadly. There are more than 48,000 students at UW Seattle alone, where we are located, providing you with ample opportunities to build community, forge academic and professional connections, and hone in on your passions with a diversity of resources at your disposal. We also have a very cute mascot, which I think is important. So this is Dubs. You can see on the slide here. You can also see Dubs in Laura's background. But a fun fact that I like to tell people is that despite UW being the Huskies, Dubs is actually an Alaskan Malamute, which is a slightly different breed of dog. But he's extremely cute regardless. UW Seattle campus is stunning no matter the season. So here you can see some of the cherry tree blossoms that cover parts of campus each spring. And near the water, you can see our own building right here as well. Although it's not directly adjacent to the water as it appears here. I think it makes it look like we're kind of on the bank there, and we aren't, but it's about a block away, which is really nice. You can catch a similar really gorgeous view from our vantage point on the building's roof, and you'll see the Space Needle and downtown in the distance toward the center of the photo here. Campus sprawls across more than 2 square kilometers with Portage and Union Bays meeting at its south end, which you can see here. It is situated in the flourishing University District just north of downtown Seattle. The neighborhood is home to many recreational opportunities along with really amazing food, which I think is very important. And this is mostly clustered along University Way, which is called the Ave. Our home for the Department of Health Metric Sciences is the Hans Rosling Center. So this is the building I was pointing to, the inside of it. Some of you may know of Hans Rosling, who was a prolific physician, academic, and public speaker, perhaps best known as co-founder of Gapminder and the author of Factfulness. And we're really honored to be working in a building that bears his name. The building opened in 2020 and is shared with other entities within the Population Health Initiative, including the School of Public Health. It is situated right near the heart of campus, Red Square. These pictures are a bit deceiving, so I think they're really pretty, but they also don't include any people. And I want to assure you that it's a bustling place during the school year. It's busy and lively with students congregating here in the lobbies and in individual department spaces like our own throughout the building. Seattle's light rail system, the Link, serves campus with a stop only blocks away on the Ave. And in addition, our building is highly accessible by bus, bike, and more. In addition to UW's beautiful campus, students are able to enjoy the gorgeous Pacific Northwest every day. So Seattle itself continues to be one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. It hosts an abundance of parks along with incredible museums, attractions, and food. There's no shortage of things to do in the city itself as well as in the city's backyard. You can ski in the mountains and kayak in the Sound in one day, although you'd be really busy if you did that. Seattle and the Northwest are also hubs of research, innovation, and public health, making the region an ideal home for students interested in pursuing a career in health metric sciences. And with that, we reached the end of our presentation, and we're eager to hear your questions.